John Martinez looked out the viewport as the transport ship approached Nexus 7. The space station gleamed against the backdrop of stars, its massive ring structure rotating slowly to create artificial gravity. After 20 years as a Marine Corps drill instructor on Earth, John had been chosen to represent humanity at the Galactic Defense Academy. The ship docked with a gentle hiss. As the airlock opened, John immediately felt lighter. He frowned. The gravity was set too low, probably about 0.7 of Earth standard. Another example of aliens underestimating humans. A blue-skinned humanoid with elongated features waited for him at the dock. "Welcome to Nexus 7, Human Martinez. I am Liaison Officer Trell. I trust your journey was comfortable?" "It was fine," John said, adjusting the strap of his duffel bag. "When do I start training?" Trell blinked all four of his eyes simultaneously. "You wish to begin immediately. Most new arrivals require a rest period to acclimate." "I'm acclimated," John said. "Lead the way." As they walked through the station corridors, John noticed other aliens watching him. Some moved away as he passed, others whispered to each other. He caught fragments of conversation. Deathworlder and Class 12 planet species. Trell led him to a dormitory unit. "These are your quarters. You will share with 3 other cadets." The door slid open to reveal a spacious room with 4 sleeping areas. 3 aliens froze in place, staring at John with expressions he couldn't quite read. "This is Zalvex," Trell said, gesturing to a blue-skinned amphibious being with 4 arms. "Krita," he continued, pointing to an insectoid with a crystalline exoskeleton, "and Mog." The third alien appeared to be a yellowish gas contained in a hovering environmental suit. "Hello," John said. "John Martinez, Earth." "We know where you are from," Krita said, her mandibles clicking nervously. "Your planet is famous." "Infamous, you mean," Zalvex added. "No offense intended. None taken," John said, tossing his bag onto the empty bed. It landed with a heavy thud, making Mog's containment suit drift backward slightly. "The orientation begins in 1 hour," Trell said. "I suggest you use this time to settle in." He left, quickly, seeming relieved to be away from John. "Is your world truly covered in oxygen?" Mog asked, his words coming through a translator in his suit. His voice sounded musical and strange. "Yes," John said. "About 21% of our atmosphere." "Poison gas," Krita whispered. "And they breathe it." "I heard humans drink dihydrogen monoxide daily," Zalvex said. John smiled. "Water?" "Yes. We need it to live." "The universal solvent," Mog said with what sounded like awe. "It dissolves more substances than any other liquid. I would melt if exposed to it." John decided not to mention that his body was mostly water. An hour later, John sat in a large auditorium with hundreds of alien cadets from across the galaxy. Academy Director Zil Thran, a tall, gaunt alien with gray skin and wide black eyes, stood at the podium. "Welcome to the Galactic Defense Academy," Director Zil Thran said. "You represent the finest candidates from your respective worlds. Here, you will train to become elite soldiers capable of defending the Galactic Alliance." John listened as the director explained the training program but frowned when he heard, "We have made special accommodations for our human cadet. Your training regimen has been calibrated to ensure your safety and success, Cadet Martinez." After the orientation, John approached the director. "Sir, about these special accommodations." "Yes, Cadet Martinez. We understand Earth has higher gravity and harsher conditions. Your training has been modified accordingly." "With all due respect, sir, I didn't come here for special treatment. I came to train at the highest level possible." Director Zil Thran's expression was unreadable. "The standard regimen would be extremely demanding for a human." "I'll be the judge of that," John said. "I want the same training as everyone else. No modifications." "Very well," the director said after a pause. "But our medical team will monitor you closely. If you cannot handle it—" "I can handle it," John interrupted, "and I'll prove it." As John walked away, he overheard whispers from a group of alien instructors. "The human wants regular training?" He doesn't understand what he's asking for. He won't last a week. John smiled to himself. These aliens had no idea what humans were capable of. They were about to find out. The next morning, John woke before the station's artificial dawn cycle began. He dropped to the floor and started doing push-ups. The lower gravity made it too easy, so he placed his duffel bag on his back for added. "Wait, what are you doing?" Zalvex asked, his 4 eyes blinking in confusion. "Morning exercises," John said, continuing his routine. "Standard on Earth." "But training hasn't begun yet," Krita said, her crystalline exoskeleton glittering as she rose from her sleeping pod. John switched to one-armed push-ups. "Where I come from, training never stops." The aliens watched in silence as John completed 200 push-ups followed by sit-ups and squats. By the time he finished, a small crowd of alien cadets had gathered at their doorway, watching the humans' strange behavior. At the training center, Commander Vreeks waited for the cadets. The reptilian instructor had scales that shifted color, with his mood, currently a stern blue-gray. His tail twitched as the cadets lined up. "Today we begin physical assessments," Commander Vreeks announced. "We must establish baseline capabilities for each species." His gaze lingered on John. "Cadet Martinez, follow me. I will show you the human-modified course." John followed the commander to a separate section of the training floor. The obstacle course looked pathetically simple compared to what he had faced in Marine training. "This is designed for your physiology," Commander Vreeks explained. "The standard course would place too much strain on your skeletal structure." John looked at the standard course where other aliens were already struggling with the first obstacles. "I'll take that one instead." Commander Vreeks' scales flashed yellow with alarm. "That would be unwise. The course is calibrated for species with different—" "Let me try," John interrupted. "If it's too much, I'll stop." After a moment of hesitation, Commander Vreeks nodded. "Very well, but our medical team will monitor you closely." John stepped up to the starting line of the standard course. The first obstacle was a climbing wall with small handholds. He scaled it in seconds, moving twice as fast as the insectoid cadets who were considered excellent climbers. Next came a series of jumping platforms suspended over a pit. The low gravity made this almost too easy. John bounded across them effortlessly. The third section involved crawling under electrified wires. John flattened himself against the ground and moved through quickly, barely feeling the mild shocks that were meant to deter cadets from touching the wires. By the time John reached the final obstacle, a weight resistance pushing station, a crowd had gathered. Alien instructors watched with wide eyes as John pushed the resistance plate all the way to the end, something none of the other cadets had managed. When he finished the course, John wasn't even breathing hard. He walked over to Commander Vreeks, whose scales had turned a pale white color. "That was a good warm-up," John said. "What's next?" Commander Vreeks stared at him. "Warm-up? The course is designed to test maximum capabilities. On Earth, we'd use that to train children," John said. "Do you have something actually challenging?" Word spread quickly through the academy. By lunchtime, everyone was talking about the human who had found the standard assessment too easy. In the dining hall, John sat alone until a human woman approached his table. "Mind if I join you?" she asked. "I'm Amy Rodriguez, been here 6 months. "Another human," John said, gesturing to the seat across from him. "Why didn't anyone mention you?" Amy sat down. "I'm not exactly making waves like you are. I've been playing along with their human-safe protocols." "Why?" John asked. Amy leaned forward. "Look, these aliens are terrified of us. They classify Earth as a death world because everything about it would kill them. The gravity, the atmosphere, the microbes, even the weather. So I'm trying not to confirm their worst fears about humans being unstoppable killing machines," Amy said. "You're scaring them, Martinez." John took a bite of his food. "I'm not here to make aliens comfortable. I'm here to become the best soldier I can be. And I can't do that if they keep treating me like I'll break." Amy smiled slightly. "Well, you've certainly got their attention now. Dr. Enzari from Medical has been asking all about human physiology, and Commander Vreeks is meeting with the senior instructors about you." "Good," John said. "Maybe now they'll give me a real challenge." Be careful what you wish for, Amy warned. You haven't seen what they're really capable of yet. John grinned. Neither have they. Commander Vreeks paced back and forth in the instructor conference room. His scales had shifted to an anxious orange color. Around the table sat 5 senior instructors from different species. The human completed the standard course, as if it were designed for children, Vreeks said. He asked for something more challenging. Instructor Null, a tall avian with sharp features, clicked her beak. Perhaps we should simply explain that our facilities are not designed for Deathworlders. And admit defeat? Said Grell, a bulky silicon-based instructor. The Academy prides itself on training the best from every world. The door slid open and Director Zilthron entered. What is your recommendation, Commander Vreeks? Vreeks' scales shifted to a determined green. We design a new regimen, one that will test even a Deathworlder's limits. The next day, John arrived at the training center to find Commander Vreeks waiting with an unusual device. Cadet Martinez, this is a gravity simulator, Vreeks explained. It creates a localized field that can be adjusted to various settings. John smiled. Now we're talking. Today's training will occur at 1.5 times standard gravity, Vreeks said. That should provide adequate resistance for your Earth-adapted physiology. John strapped on the device. Immediately he felt heavier, but not uncomfortably so. Earth's gravity was about 1.6 times Nexus 7's artificial gravity, so this was actually closer to what he was used to. Is this supposed to be difficult? John asked. Vreeks' scales flickered with surprise. This is merely the beginning. Follow me. The new training program included running laps in the increased gravity while wearing weighted armor, combat exercises in rapidly changing temperature environments, and underwater operations with limited oxygen. John completed everything, showing signs of exertion but no real distress. After each session, he would ask the same question. Got anything more challenging? By the end of the week, Commander Vreeks and the other instructors were visibly frustrated. They had designed what they considered a brutally difficult regimen, intended to humble the human. Instead, John seemed to be enjoying himself. In the mess hall, John sat with Amy, who shook her head as he described his latest training session. They put you in the cryogenic chamber? She asked in disbelief. That's designed for species with natural antifreeze in their blood. It was cold, John admitted, but nothing worse than winter training in Alaska. You're disrupting everything, Amy said. The instructors are panicking. They've never dealt with a species that asks for harder training. Is that so bad? John asked. Humans aren't being properly utilized if we're coddled. You must feel the same way. Amy lowered her voice. Of course I do. The human-safe protocols are ridiculous. But there's a political element you're not considering. Some species here view humans as a potential threat. Your performance is confirming their fears. John considered this. What would you suggest? I don't know, Amy admitted, but the instructors are running out of ideas. This morning I overheard Commander Vreeks say they might need to bring in specialists from the outer rim planets just to design training difficult enough for you. That afternoon, John found himself in the training center's environmental simulator. The room could replicate conditions from any known planet. Today, we will simulate the methane storms of Titan, Commander Vreeks announced. His scales had a determined blue hue. Temperature minus 180 degrees Celsius. Atmosphere, largely nitrogen with methane precipitation. Gravity, 0.14 of Earth standard. John put on the environmental suit provided. Sounds refreshing. Vreeks' scales flickered with irritation. The exercise will last 30 minutes. Your objective is simply to remain functional. The simulation began. Freezing methane rain pelted John's suit as howling winds tried to knock him down. The low gravity made movement tricky, but not impossible. John began doing jumping jacks, then push-ups, then started jogging in circles. Through the observation window, John could see Commander Vreeks and several other instructors watching. Their expressions ranged from disbelief to what looked like fear. When the simulation ended, John removed his helmet and smiled at the instructors. That was interesting. What's next? Commander Vreeks's scales had turned completely white. There is nothing next, Human Martinez. We have exhausted our standard extreme environment protocols. Then it's time to get creative, John said, because I'm just getting warmed up. John sat in Director Silthran's office, facing the tall gray alien, across a sleek metal desk. The room was quiet except for the soft hum of the station's systems. Cadet Martinez, Director Silthran said, you have caused quite a disruption in our training protocols. With respect, sir, I'm just trying to be challenged properly, John replied. The director's large black eyes studied John carefully. Our instructors report that you have completed every exercise designed for you, even those considered extreme for most species. That's correct, sir. They also report that you continue to ask for more difficult training. John nodded. Earth's gravity is higher, our environment more variable. What seems extreme to others is often normal for humans. Director Silthran steepled his long fingers. The Academy has existed for 300 years. In that time, we have trained soldiers from over 500 different species, yet never have we encountered one that found our most difficult programs insufficient. Perhaps it's time to update your programs, John suggested. The director was silent for a moment. What exactly are you proposing, Cadet Martinez? John leaned forward. Let me design my own training program. If I complete it successfully, the Academy should reevaluate all protocols for human cadets. And if you fail? Then I'll accept whatever modified training you think is appropriate, John said. Director Silthran considered this. Very well. Submit your proposal by tomorrow. Our safety officers will review it. The next day, John handed Commander Vreeks a data tablet. The reptilian instructor's scales shifted from blue to yellow as he read the proposal. This is extreme, Vreeks said, looking up at John. Extended underwater operations without breathing apparatus, high-gravity combat scenarios, survival exercises in toxic environments. All things humans can handle with proper training, John said. Perhaps on your death world, Vreeks replied. But our medical staff will need to review this. I doubt they will approve. Later that day, John was called to the medical bay. Dr. Anzari, a slender being with translucent skin through which complex circulatory systems were visible, greeted him with concern. Cadet Martinez, I've reviewed your proposed training regimen, Dr. Anzari said. According to our databases on human physiology, several of these exercises exceed safe parameters for your species. Your databases are wrong, John said. Humans have survived much worse. Even if that's true, Dr. Anzari continued, we cannot in good conscience approve training that carries such high risk. What if I sign a waiver? Dr. Anzari looked confused. A waiver would not change the medical facts. The oxygen deprivation, alone in your underwater proposal, could cause brain damage. Humans can be trained to hold their breath for extended periods, John explained. Navy SEALs on Earth routinely. I'm sorry, Dr. Anzari interrupted, but I cannot recommend approval of this program. That evening, John found Amy waiting outside his quarters. I heard about your proposal, she said as they walked through the station's corridors. You're going too far, John. I'm just asking for training that actually pushes me, John replied. You're asking for things that would kill most species, Amy said. The Academy doesn't know what to do with you. They stopped at a viewport overlooking the stars. Amy turned to face John. Look, I understand your frustration. I've been dealing with it for 6 months. But there's more at stake here than just your training. Like what? Like how the galactic community views humans, Amy explained. We're still new to interstellar politics. Some species already see us as a potential threat. Your actions are reinforcing that perception. John frowned. So we should pretend to be weaker than we are? No, Amy said. But maybe we should be more diplomatic about showing our strengths. As they talked, John noticed Amy had been exercising more than when he first met her. Her arm showed definition that hadn't been there before. You've been training harder too, haven't you? He asked, Amy looked away. Maybe your attitude is a little contagious. John smiled. See, you feel it too. Humans need challenge to improve. Yes, but an announcement interrupted them. Cadet Martinez, report to Director Zilthron's office immediately. John found the director waiting with Commander Vreeks and Dr. Anzari. They all looked serious. We've reviewed your proposal, Director Zilthron said. Against Dr. Anzari's recommendation, I have decided to approve it. John was surprised. Thank you, sir. But, the director continued, you will be monitored at all times. If our medical staff detects any sign of lasting harm, the training stops immediately. Understood, John said. When do I start? Tomorrow, Director Zilthron said. I hope you know what you're doing, Cadet Martinez. For your sake and for the reputation of humans in the galactic community. As John left the office, he felt a mix of excitement and responsibility. Now he would show them what humans were really capable of. John was halfway through his self-designed training program. For 10 days he had pushed himself through challenges that the Academy considered beyond reasonable limits. Today, he was in the station's aquatic training chamber, practicing underwater, combat techniques without breathing equipment. As John held his breath and grappled with a training drone beneath the surface, alarms suddenly blared throughout the station. He surfaced immediately, seeing red emergency lights flashing. All cadets report to emergency stations, announced the station's AI. This is not a drill. Containment breach in Engineering Section Delta. John pulled himself out of the water and grabbed a towel. Commander Vreeks rushed into the training chamber, his scales a bright red color of alarm. What's happening? John asked. Coolant leak in the reactor section, Vreeks explained quickly. Radiation and toxic gas are spreading through engineering. Several cadets were doing maintenance training there. John's roommate Zalvex appeared in the doorway. The cadets are trapped, he said, all 4 of his arms moving in agitation. The automatic seals activated. They can't get out, and the rescue teams can't get in because of the radiation levels. How many? John asked. 5, Vreeks said. Including? Your friend Amy Rodriguez. John felt his chest tighten. What's being done? Director Zilthron has ordered remote drones to attempt rescue, but they'll take 30 minutes to prepare, Vreeks said. The radiation is interfering with their systems. The cadets don't have 30 minutes, Zalvex said quietly. John made a quick decision. I can get them out. Commander Vreeks' scales shifted to a shocked white. Impossible. The radiation levels would kill any living being. Humans have higher radiation tolerance than most species, John said, and we've been training for toxic environments. Not this toxic, Vreeks argued. The air is filled with coolant gas. It would burn your lungs. I can hold my breath, John said, already moving toward the door. I just spent 4 minutes underwater. I can hold it long enough to get them out. In the emergency control center, Director Zilthron was coordinating the response when John arrived. The main screen showed readings from Engineering Section Delta. Radiation levels in red, toxic gas concentration in yellow. Both were at maximum. Director, John said, let me go in after them. Absolutely not, Director Zilthron replied. The environment would be lethal even for a human. Dr. Anzari stood nearby, monitoring life signs from the trapped cadets. Their vital signs are weakening, the doctor reported. The protective suits they were wearing weren't designed for this level of radiation. John looked at the screen. What about minimal protection? A thin suit just to prevent skin contact with the coolant. It would offer little protection against the radiation, Dr. Anzari said. But it would prevent chemical burns? John pressed. Dr. Anzari hesitated, then nodded. Then that's all I need, John said. I can hold my breath and move fast enough to get them out before the radiation does permanent damage. Director Zilthron shook his head. The risk is too great. 5 lives are at stake, John argued, including another human. Our training on Earth prepares us for radiation exposure better than you realize. The director looked at the vital sign, monitors which were growing weaker by the minute. He turned to Dr. Anzari. Your medical opinion? Cadet Martinez would be exposed to extremely dangerous levels of radiation, Dr. Anzari said. However, the human physiology does have remarkable repair mechanisms, if the exposure is brief enough. The doctor paused. It might be their only chance. After a moment of silence, Director Silthron nodded. Prepare him. Minutes later, John stood at the sealed door to Engineering Section Delta, wearing only a thin protective suit. Zalvex and Krita watched from behind a safety barrier. This is madness, Krita said, her crystalline exoskeleton glittering anxiously. This is what humans do, Zalvex replied quietly. Commander Vreeks handed John a locator device. The cadets are approximately 50 meters inside. Their suits should protect them from the coolant, but they're too weakened by radiation to move. John nodded, taking a series of deep breaths to oxygenate his blood. Cadet Martinez, Director Lai, Silthron said over the comm, "You have my authorization to proceed. May your Deathworld strength serve you well." John took one final deep breath, closed his mouth tightly and nodded. The door slid open, releasing a faint green mist. John plunged into the contaminated section, disappearing from view. On the monitoring screen, a single life sign moved rapidly into the danger zone. John moved quickly through the green mist, holding his breath. The thin suit protected his skin from the coolant, but he could feel the radiation prickling against him like tiny needles of heat. The emergency lights bathed everything in a red glow, making the green gas look dark and ominous. The locator device pulsed faster as he approached the trapped cadets. John found them huddled together in a maintenance bay. Amy was helping a small avian cadet, who appeared barely conscious. 4 other cadets sat nearby, their environmental suits damaged by the coolant leak. Amy looked up in shock as John appeared through the mist. Her eyes widened behind her helmet visor. "John?" she mouthed, unable to believe what she was seeing. John nodded and gave her a quick hand signal from Earth military training. Extraction underway. He pointed to 2 of the stronger-looking cadets, then to the smallest one, indicating they should carry their weakened companion. John lifted an insectoid cadet who seemed completely unconscious, slinging the alien carefully over his shoulders. He motioned for Amy to help another weakened cadet, then pointed toward the exit. His lungs were beginning to burn from holding his breath, but John led the way, moving as fast as possible while ensuring the others kept up. The path back seemed longer, the radiation continuing its invisible assault on his body. Black spots began to dance at the edges of his vision. Just as his lungs felt ready to burst, they reached the sealed door. John pounded on it with his fist, and it slid open. He staggered through with the unconscious cadet still on his shoulders, the others following behind him. As soon as they were through, the door sealed shut. Medical teams rushed forward with oxygen and radiation treatments. John finally allowed himself to breathe, gasping in air as he gently laid the insectoid cadet on a stretcher. "Get them to medical," he managed to say between breaths. The small one was barely conscious. Dr. Anzari rushed to scan John with a medical device. "Your radiation exposure was extreme, but brief. You need immediate treatment." John nodded, suddenly feeling the full effects of the radiation. His muscles felt weak and nausea swept through him. He allowed the medical team to help him onto a stretcher. In the medical bay, John drifted in and out of consciousness as the medical team worked to treat his radiation exposure. He was vaguely aware of Dr. Anzari speaking quickly to other medical staff, their voices sounding concerned but also surprised. When John fully awoke hours later, he found Director Silthron standing near his bed, watching him carefully. "The other cadets?" John asked, his voice hoarse. "All alive," the director said. "Thanks to you." "Amy?" "Cadet Rodriguez received a moderate radiation dose but is recovering well. She has asked about you several times." John tried to sit up but felt weak. "How bad was it for me?" Dr. Anzari approached the bed, looking at John with new interest. "You received radiation exposure that would have killed most species instantly. Even for a human, it should have caused severe damage." "But it didn't?" John asked. "Your cellular recovery rate is remarkable," Dr. Anzari said. "I've been monitoring your body's response to the radiation. You're not just recovering. Your damaged cells are regenerating at an accelerated rate. That's normal for humans, John said. We evolved on a planet with background radiation. Our bodies repair radiation damage better than most species realize. Director Zil Thran and Dr. Enzari exchanged glances. We are beginning to understand that humans are more extraordinary than we initially believed, the director said. But what I don't understand is why you would risk your life for others when you barely know them. John looked at the director with surprise. That's what soldiers do. We protect others. It's basic training on Earth. Basic training, Dr. Enzari repeated quietly. I believe I'm starting to understand why you found our training programs insufficient. Director Zilthran nodded slowly. It seems we have much to learn about humans. The door slid open and Amy entered, looking pale but steady. She smiled when she saw John awake. The hero of Engineering Section Delta, she said. Just doing what any human would do, John replied. That's what scares them, Amy said quietly, sitting beside his bed. And maybe what impresses them too. 2 weeks after the rescue, Director Sil Thran stood before the Academy's senior staff in the main conference room. The mood was serious, as the director activated a holographic display showing John's medical data. As you can see from Dr. Enzari's findings, humans possess capabilities we have severely underestimated, the director said. Their cellular regeneration, adaptability to stress, and resilience in extreme environments exceed our previous understanding. Commander Vreeks, whose scales now showed a respectful blue color, asked, What do you propose, Director? I am instituting a new training protocol, Director Shilthran announced. The Martinez Protocol will be the standard for all human cadets, and optional for other species who wish to attempt it. Murmurs spread through the room. Dr. Enzari stepped forward. My research indicates that humans don't just tolerate extreme conditions, they actually improve under stress, the doctor explained. The radiation exposure that Cadet Martinez survived has led to enhanced cellular repair mechanisms. His physical performance has improved by 12% since the incident. They get stronger from things that would kill us? Asked one of the senior instructors. In many cases, yes, Dr. Enzari confirmed. Earth's variable and harsh environment has created a species that requires challenge to reach optimal performance. Meanwhile, John was back in training, leading a small group that included Amy and, surprisingly, his roommate Zalvex. The blue amphibian had requested to join the human training program. Again, John called as they ran laps under increased gravity conditions. Focus on your breathing pattern. Zalvex struggled but kept pace, his forearms pumping in rhythm. How much longer? He gasped. Just 5 more minutes, John said. You're doing great. Amy ran alongside them, no longer pretending to need the modified, human-safe protocols. Other humans at the Academy had also embraced the more intense training, showing remarkable improvements. After the session, they sat in the recovery area. Zalvex gulped water through his gill slits. I don't understand, he said. Why does this pain make you humans happy? John smiled. It's not the pain we enjoy, it's the growth that comes after. On Earth we have a saying, no pain, no gain. Barbaric, Zalvex said, but there was new respect in his voice. Yet I must admit, my swimming speed has increased 20% since beginning your program. The door opened and Commander Vreeks entered with a tall, muscular alien covered in thick fur. The alien's 4 eyes scanned the room with intensity. Cadets, this is Combat Master Growl from the Iceworld Tundras, Vreeks announced. He will be joining our instructor team to help design appropriate challenges for the Martinez Protocol. Growl nodded at John. I understand you are the human who finds our training too easy. Not all of it, John replied diplomatically. Just some aspects. On my world, we train in blizzards at -60 degrees, Grail said. We hunt ice predators, 3 times our size. Perhaps this will provide adequate challenge. John grinned. Sounds like a good start. Later that day, John received a message to report to the director's office. When he arrived, he found Director Sil Thran reviewing data with several officials, in formal uniforms, Cadet Martinez, these representatives are from Galactic Defense Command, the director explained. They are interested in recruiting more humans. A tall official stepped forward. Your performance has caught our attention. Cadet, Earth is now being viewed as a prime recruitment world for elite forces. We are also considering other species with similar potential, another official added, looking at a file. Your roommate Zalvex shows promising adaptability to human training methods. The Martinez protocol is being implemented at 3 other academies, Director Zilthran said, and you are being offered a position as assistant instructor upon graduation. John was surprised but pleased. I'd be honored, sir. As John left the office, he found Amy waiting in the corridor. How did it go? She asked. They want me to help train others, John said. Apparently we've changed how the Academy views humans. Amy nodded. News is spreading through the galactic community. Some species are concerned about Deathworlders becoming too influential. Others are fascinated. And what do you think? John asked. I think we've finally found our place, Amy said. Not as curiosities to be protected, but as valuable allies, because of our unique abilities. John smiled as they walked toward the training center where a mixed group of species waited for instruction. His quest for challenging training had changed more than just himself. It had changed humanity's place in the galaxy. 6 months had passed since the creation of the Martinez Protocol. The day of graduation had arrived for John's class at the Galactic Defense Academy. The station's main assembly hall was filled with cadets, instructors, and visiting officials from across the galaxy. John stood with Amy and Zalvex, all wearing the formal uniforms of Academy graduates. Krita and Mog joined them, having completed their own training programs. I never thought I would graduate alongside a human, Krita said, her crystalline exoskeleton polished to a shine for the occasion. I never thought I would voluntarily subject myself to Deathworld training, Zalvex replied, flexing his 4 arms. The amphibian had developed visible muscle definition since joining John's program. Director Zilthran took the podium, his tall gray form commanding attention from the crowd. Today marks a historic graduation, the director began. This class has broken records and shattered our preconceptions about what is possible. The director gestured to a group of cadets standing to one side of the stage. The special demonstration team will now show what the Martinez Protocol has achieved. John and Amy led the demonstration, along with Zalvex and 3 other non-human cadets who had embraced the human training methods. They performed feats of strength, endurance, and teamwork that drew gasps from the audience. Amy demonstrated combat techniques in triple Earth gravity. John showed how to function efficiently in toxic environments with minimal protection. Most impressive was Zalvex, who performed underwater operations almost at human levels, proving that other species could adapt to some aspects of Deathworld training. When the demonstration ended, the visitors erupted in applause. Many of the alien officials looked shocked but impressed. John noticed a few who seemed concerned, whispering urgently to each other. Director Zilthran returned to the podium. Based on these results, Galactic Defense Command has authorized the creation of a new elite response force. This unit will specialize in missions considered too dangerous for standard teams. The director looked directly at John. Cadet Martinez, or rather Lieutenant Martinez, you are offered command of the first unit. John stepped forward, surprised but honored. Thank you, sir, I accept. Your team will include Cadets Rodriguez, Zalvex, Krita, and Mog as specialists, the director continued. Additional human recruits are being selected from Earth, along with compatible species from other worlds. The graduation ceremony continued, but John's mind was already racing with possibilities for the new unit. After the formal proceedings, the newly graduated officers gathered in the observation lounge for celebration. The large windows offered a spectacular view of the stars. Amy joined John by the viewport. So, Lieutenant, how does it feel to have changed the Academy forever? I just wanted proper training, John said with a smile. Everything else was a bonus. Commander Vreeks approached them, his scales now showing a respectful purple hue. Lieutenant Martinez, Lieutenant Rodriguez, I must admit, when you first arrived, I thought you would fail within days. And now? Amy asked. Now I understand why. Earth produces such formidable soldiers, Vreek said. Your planet has prepared you in ways we never considered. The conversation was interrupted by an urgent announcement. All officers report to command. Priority message from Galactic Defense Headquarters. In the command center, a grim-faced official appeared on the main screen. We have a situation developing in the Orpheus sector. A research station has gone dark after reporting hostile contact. The environment is extreme. Radiation storms, toxic atmosphere, and unknown hostiles. The official looked directly at John. The elite response force is being activated immediately. No other units can function in these conditions. Director Zil Thran turned to John. This is sooner than expected, Lieutenant, but are you ready? John looked at his team. Amy with her determined expression. Zalvex standing taller and more confident than ever. Krita and Mog prepared for their specialized roles. We're ready, sir, John said. As they boarded their ship, John noticed alien crew members watching his team with a mixture of awe and apprehension. One whispered to another, "The Deathworlders are going where we cannot." John smiled to himself as he took his position on the bridge. For the first time since arriving at the academy, he felt truly challenged. They were heading into unknown danger, facing conditions that would kill most species in the galaxy, and he couldn't wait to begin.